Welcome to the Get Unbusy podcast. I'm your host, Kate Philpott, and this podcast is all about throwing your busy work out the window. You deserve to stay locked in on the parts of your business that light a fire under your hoo-ha, all right? The passion-driven freedom lifestyle, not being glued to your laptop every waking minute of the day. It's time to build a business that works for you, not one that works you into the ground. So, let's get unbusy, shall we? Well, hello and welcome back to the Get Unbusy podcast. Oh my goodness, we are getting really close to Christmas at this stage. It is next week. Christmas is next week. I have to keep saying that out loud because I am in complete and utter disbelief. But here we are. So, Merry Christmas almost. And this is going to be a different kind of episode because actually, when I recorded this, I had every intention of this being part of a paid bundle. And I don't know, maybe I got soft. Maybe the Christmas spirit started running through my veins. I don't know what happened. But I thought, you know what? This one's for you. This one's for the podcast. My gift to you. I want you to soak up every second of it. Enjoy, take notes. And there's a little bit of like workshoppiness as well that I think will be so helpful for you in your reflections on the past year. But that question alone is so vague. So I have made this to be very specific and there's multiple sections of it. You're going to see what I mean as we get into it. So enjoy, and that's my gift to you. Merry Christmas. What if I told you to stop working after only 3 hours today? Would you want to slap me because you've got like 12 things on your to-do list and that's not even including your client work and your part-time job? Yeah, that is totally valid. I'll just say, having been the person that's cut my 80-hour work weeks down to 20 hours while still getting the important things done, there is a more productive way of working where your life becomes a life again while you still get that incredible sense of accomplishment each week. And that is exactly what I teach you to do inside Work Smart Academy, the productivity membership for online coaches and creative entrepreneurs. And naturally, this lends itself to you living in true work-life balance. So there's a link below to join us, and I cannot wait to see you in there. Hello, and welcome to this year in review training. This has been a year of an intense amount of growth, learning, capacity expansion, and honestly shifting even in what I desire and how I desire to live my life. And genuinely there are solid reasons for each of these things. So I'm going to walk you through every single thing, every single lesson that I learned, productivity related, personal development related, mindset related, travel related, income related. Like, there are so many things. So I suppose let's dive in. We've got a lot to cover here. So I'm gonna throw it back, right? January 2025. This was a month where I had big hopes, big dreams. I feel like I was bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and I wasn't really using that energy. I went into that month having this great feeling about this year, in a way where, well, for example, I remember I went to Manchester right at the beginning of the year, went for a couple of days with my partner, Patrick. And while I was in Manchester, I met my previous mentor, Jess, for the first time in person. So that was really exciting, like to finally be able to meet in person after I had worked with her for like a year and been in multiple of her containers and stuff. But I remember we went for coffee and I was like, last year I thought it was going to be my 100k year, but honestly looking back now, that was a little naive because I didn't have the strategy in place and I didn't have certain structures in place that just like wouldn't have supported that result coming. And I was like, you know what, this year I think it actually feels realistic for that to happen. So looking back on that conversation, it is interesting. I mean, it hasn't been my 100k year. It's been a decent year, but it hasn't been my 100k year. I mean, hey, it's only the 7th of December when I'm recording this. Maybe it will be. But yeah, no, I had that kind of approach in my mindset. And also, one thing that happened when I was in Manchester was I got ID'd. Okay. So, like, we went into this bar, I think it's called The Alchemist in Manchester, where they do like those cool kind of cocktails. It has like dry ice in it, like, there's smoke coming out of the drink and stuff like that. Um, so that was really cool, but I got ID'd. Now, you have to be 18 to drink alcohol in the UK and Ireland. But yeah, I'm 29 now. I was 28 at the time. I found it absolutely hilarious. I didn't have an ID with me, and I said to the bouncer, I was like, listen, I don't have an ID with me, but I am 28. So, and he was like, and it was just me and my partner, and like my partner showed his ID, and he was 28 too, and then he was like, all right, yeah, go on. But that kicked off a thought process that wouldn't fully develop until later in the year. But it was the thought process around I have still been seeing myself as a girl rather than a woman. I feel like a child. I think maybe there's always an element of this, and I don't exactly think there's anything wrong with it per se. But if you are in a place where you are trying to build a big, successful business, and you want to go big and you want to go fucking savage and you want to create something huge, that's just not what like little girls do. Little girls play with their hair and they paint their nails, and well, I suppose big girls do those things too, but like they play with their Barbies, and they look up to other women rather than seeing themselves on that same level as those other women. And there are a couple of elements that have, fed into that kind of thought process, and why I've been feeling that way and why I was seeing myself in that way and that identity. And I do think a big part of it is that I was still living in my parents' house. So I still do now, but I'm moving in a couple of weeks. This is the house that I grew up in as a child. Like, I moved here when I was 5 years old, and I'm still sleeping in my childhood bedroom. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that too, because also, guess what? Rent in Ireland is crazy. There's a massive housing crisis, cost of living, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. You get the drill. You probably have the same thing in your country, because I feel like it's kind of everywhere. But there is an element of, there was never a point where I turned from a girl to a woman, because what would that point be? There was nothing externally that changed. It was just a gradual, like, I've been living in the same bedroom since I was 5 years old. How could that not have an impact on how you see yourself? And this isn't something that I'm thinking about every single day, but it is in the back of your mind. Like, at what point does your relationship with your parents turn from parent-child to we're on the same level, we're both adults, we're all adults, So my partner has bought an apartment, and we will be moving in together, and I think that's definitely going to help that side of things. But there have also been quite a lot of mindset journaling sessions that I've done in EFT about, like, okay, but who am I? Like, disconnected from my family, and obviously family is going to be a huge part, but disconnected from that, who am I at the core? Who am I? What do I love doing? Who do I really feel like I am? And when I say that, it's like, the way there's always like a version of you that you want to be, whether it's like the pink hair version of you, or the version of you that just wears latex everywhere, or the version of you that gets covered in tattoos, or wears high heels everywhere, wears high heels to do her Hoover, and like, just like there's this sexy alter ego kind of version of you, and we dibble dabble on how much we actually lean into that version of us. But the point is not who do I want to be that's this external version of me that I feel like I'm always reaching for, but the point is who do I feel like I am in my heart, in my chest, like right now, because there is nothing wrong with that version. There is nothing wrong with her. She might just be living in her childhood bedroom and like not feeling like she can expand as much. Okay, we move. We change things. We go to Spain for a month. Like, this is why I travel so much. I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to stop traveling loads because I love exploring this beautiful world that we live in. But you see what I'm saying. This whole argument of who do you want to be? I feel like we hear that a lot in business, personal development, all of these kind of topics. It's like, it's about who you are. And when I first heard that message, I was like, ugh, eye roll, just give me the strategy. But I think it's really starting to land now. I think it's really starting to land. And it's not who do you want to be that's this like Barbie latex covered in tattoos version of you that really on some level you know you're not gonna be. And I'm not saying you can't, but it's like it's not you. It's just like someone you saw who you thought looked cool, but it's not you. Like, that's fantastic for them. That is like so beautifully them. But like, maybe your thing isn't full body latex. Maybe your thing is like cute, cozy cardigans. Maybe your thing is mini skirts and high over the knee boots. Like, what is your thing? Obviously, style and fashion is a big way to express this, but it does apply to multiple areas of you, like the personality traits. Are you the soft girly? Are you like the soft CEO girly? Or are you the I'm a fucking powerhouse, get out of my way? Like, or are you, there's actually an example coming to mind right now. I just watched Selling Sunset season 7, 8, 9, whatever. My alarm went off, it cut me off. But Brie in Selling Sunset is so unapologetically herself. She's like, I am a bitch. Like, I never said I wasn't a bitch. Like, you can't hurt me with that because I never said I was a nice person. So, my point in saying this is not to dim your dream at all. It's actually to like dial it up. Dial it up and tune it into who you actually want to be, not who you think you thought once would be cool, but like in reality, it really just doesn't align with you. Because I feel like that I have kind of fallen into that trap before. It's like, okay, who do I want to be? I want to be powerful, like boss, like let's go. And like, yes, there is an element of that, but also one of the core personality traits that I have is like, I'm such a hermit. Like, one of my favorite things is just to like lock myself away in a room and not speak to anybody all day. Like, why? Because that's where my best creativity comes out. That's where I get into a flow. That's where my batteries recharge, rather than, for example, my partner, who is way more extroverted, and he recharges his batteries by being around people and getting out and doing adventurous things. Like, for example, right now he's actually in Florida, and he sent me a selfie with an alligator yesterday in the wild. Like, that's not me. I'm probably not gonna do that. If I go to Florida, I'll be chilling in Miami, or I'll find a nice place like by along the Keys, or a nice like riverside, like comfortable, lovely place with a beautiful view. But I'm probably not gonna send anyone a selfie with an alligator. So like, both are perfect, both are wonderful, both are magnetic as fuck, as long as it is completely tuned into who you actually are, like the best, most potent, most expressed version of you, which I genuinely do think 99% of people dim the fuck out of. And I put my hands up and say, I've been guilty of it. I have. But we have got to stop watering ourselves down just to be palatable and just to be liked by everyone. Because, like, well, first of all, who is liked by everyone? Nobody. Second of all, that is what you do to become forgettable. And I know none of you listening to this right now want to be forgettable. I know none of you deserve to be forgettable. I know none of you feel like that would be the most expressed version of you, is the forgettable one. Like, you know damn right that is just not it. Okay, let's move on to the next piece. So, end of January, there was the first of the big changes that happened in my life this year. And I will say, as a whole, like zoomed out, 2025 was the fucking craziest year of the biggest amount of change ever in my life. I feel like nothing really happened for like 3, 4, 5 years. And then everything happened in 1 year. Like, it was just wild. So the first of the big changes happened, and that was that my nana died. So my nana, her name was Olive. So Nana Olive, she was the grandparent who, from me being a child, I was like, I dread the day something happens to this woman, because she is such a sweetheart, such an angel. I never want her to be gone. However, unfortunately, she did have quite the decline over the past 10, 15 years with dementia, and it was long beyond her time. And I know she would forgive me for saying that, because like I already hadn't seen my nana for years, really. And if you've ever experienced a loved one going through dementia, or like that being their decline and deterioration, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But she had been in hospice care for 3 years, and to be honest, she held on so long. She held on so much longer than she should have, but she was 90, she must have been 93, and it was her time. But the thing was, that was the reason I'm bringing this up is some of the biggest lessons I learned this year were actually from what I learned from my nana. And I'm going to share a couple of them with you, because this is what this training is about. It's the lessons from this year. So, first of all, like the very first thing is have so much fun. Like, my nana filled her life with so much fun, like trips. She was going on trips everywhere. She was a regular at this particular hotel in Lanzarote. Like, they knew my nana and granddad as like, what's the word? Not prestigious, but it was like they were very highly welcomed guests, that they went there that often. Golf, playing bridge with her friends, singing for a crowd, and even monotonous moments were always made fun. And she always found something to giggle at. She always, I don't know if I've ever seen her in a bad mood. If there was anything that happened, like for example, my granddad is a bit more of a hard ass. If he was, having one of his argumentative moments, she'd just look at us and like shrug her shoulders and be like, in one ear, out the other. That's the how you get through it. In one ear, out the other. What did he even say? I don't know. Like, that was how she like managed things, and I fucking love that. Okay, the second one, and this is probably the lesson that she wanted me to hear the most, and I had so many conversations with her about this, and it was love them and leave them. And yes, that's exactly what I mean by that. So obviously, as I was coming into my early teenage years, my nana was so intrigued by, the boys, and I loved telling her all about the boys. And I was obsessed. I was like, oh my God, this boy, he said he likes me. And like, I was like, 11. But yes, so she always asked me, like, how are the boyfriends? Plural. But if she sniffed out a frog instead of a prince, she would always tell me, you know what I say, love them and leave them. This woman was teaching me standards. This woman was teaching me what this silly 12-year-old boy doesn't understand how valuable you are. He is not worth your time. Love them and leave them. Off you go, on to the next. Literally, thank you, next. So, major kudos to you, Nana, for teaching me that. I found my prince. You did meet him, even though I'm not sure you were all there at that point, but you did meet him, and he is treating me fantastically. Thanks for the lesson on the standards. But can we talk about that for a second? The standards, like, I could get heated, but you know damn sure, you know damn well that there have been moments where you let your standards drop. Whether that's over this past year, over the past couple of months, there have been moments where you have let your standards drop. And maybe it just seemed easier in the moment to do that. Maybe it was to avoid a conflict, a difficult conversation. Maybe it just felt easier to drop your standards so that you didn't have to deal with somebody else's outrage or somebody else's like clapback. Honestly, those moments, they hurt you more than you allow yourself to realize. Because every single moment where you allow your standards to drop, you are giving yourself proof that your standards aren't worth being your standards, that you're not worthy of having standards. And that is something, if you show yourself that over and over and over again, what do you think your brain is taking from that? That is having a damaging effect on your mindset, both inside a business, outside of business, in relationships, in friendships, in even your ability to be creative in every facet of life. She also taught me to proudly share your sparkle. She didn't say it in so many ways. She didn't actually tell me these words, but I can see it from the actions that she took, right? So if anybody, my nana always had a lovely singing voice, and if anyone ever asked her to sing, she wouldn't just like cower away in a corner with fear or like block her face and be like, no, 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 I'm not gonna know. She was like, absolutely, get the song rolling. Or everybody click their fingers and I'll start singing. Like, she graced us with her gifts. She owned her gifts and like the magic that she had inside of her. She knew she was a good singer and she wasn't like afraid to say it. Like, a lot of people know that they're talented in a certain way, but we feel we have to be modest. We feel we have to, like, you know, be like, oh no, I could never, I'm so bad at singing. But then they actually sing and they're like really fucking good. Like, this goes for any gift that you have, any sparkle that you have. You have got to share that so proudly. Why would you be shy about that? Like, when you think about the fact, and I'm going to get morbid here, when you think about the fact that in 100 years you are not going to be around anymore, you are going to be either in a graveyard or like sprinkled somewhere nice. Sorry for the graphic like detail, but like you're not going to be here anymore. So when you think about that, why would we not share the magic that's inside us? Whether that be our excitement for life, our excitement for banana bread, like I've got right now, or the thing that you're amazing at, the singing that you're amazing at, the dance routine you choreographed, whatever it is. Like, why would you hide that from the world? Like, respectfully, how dare you? Own your gifts. That creates special moments for both you and other people. So why would you take that away from people? If you're 30 years old right now, you've almost lived 11,000 days of your life. Without getting too morbid here, there is something to be said for taking control back of your own time. Nobody wants to get to 80 years old and realize that they never went on that 6-week trip they always wanted to, or they never wrote that book, or never made it to the level of visibility and recognition that they always strived for. And improving your skill of productivity doesn't mean increasing your ability to work harder and faster when you don't want to. That is literally the opposite of what I teach. Getting productive is what gives you the ability to turn a weekly 2-hour task into a 15-minute task, and to work no longer than 20 hours a week unless you deeply, deeply want to, and even match your tasks with the right energy level. So let me guess, you started this business to have freedom. The freedom to work from anywhere, for there to be no limit to the amount of money that you could make, and to not have to work a full-time job. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, how did this turn into a full-time or even more than full-time job? When you have your own business, you are the one who decides your schedule. But most of us were never equipped with the skill to make proper use of that, to minimize and automate the busy work, or to map out our weekly schedule to how we actually want to live. And in case you thought that you could hustle your way out of the overwhelm and the heaviness, all this is doing is reteaching you that hustle is the only way, and that you have to earn even 2 hours off on a Friday afternoon. And frankly, there's honestly never been a more important time to grasp your time back than right now, today, because every single day that you work in the old way of functioning, you could be clocking up tens, hundreds of future hours that you'll no longer have to work because the admin is streamlined and processes happen automatically, and you no longer have to keep on top of 25 things at once. It was never meant to be that complicated. So even if one sentence of this is resonating, know that there is a reason for that. I've been where you are. I've found the way to a life that's productive and flexible and still full of passion and fulfillment. And that's exactly what my productivity membership Work Smart Academy will teach you to do. We have snappy 45-minute calls every week, alternating between planning sessions and business refinement sessions. You'll get access to binge-worthy trainings like automated money stuff, the master plan workshop, and how to plan your high impact workday in just 15 minutes. There are new drops every month, as well as access to ask me questions directly each month so that I can coach you through your productivity roadblocks. And we've got an entire Q&A database with every single question I've ever answered in the membership as well. So you might even get to resolve your issue before you've even asked. You'll also gain access to the Systems Hub, which is a vault of done-for-you systems like SOPs, template banks for running your business, automations, and so on to reduce your workload in less time. And I've recently added AI prompts to help you personalize those to your business even faster. So that means you're getting your entire productivity and lifestyle transformation for only $37 a month. Need I say more? I cannot wait to see you in there and get you experiencing life and business how you've always actually wanted to. The link to join us is in the show notes below. So I want you to look at those areas of life and be like, how could I raise my standards here? If we actually look at the different categories of life, and let's do it right now. Okay, I've pulled up the wheel of life in front of me here. So I'm going to go through these one by one, and I want you to think about, how could I increase my standards here? How could I raise them even just a little bit? And it might also be, if that doesn't inspire you with an answer, then also ask yourself, where have I dropped my standards in this category? Okay, so self-image. How could you raise your standards slightly within self-image? Or how have you let them drop? Have you started to squeeze your stomach and be like, oh, this is not right. There's too much fat here. Ugh. That's dropping your standards, baby. How could you increase those standards? Is it mirror work? Is it actually shifting how you think about exercise? And like, obviously self-image isn't only body related, but it's just the first thing that came to mind. When I say shifting how you see exercise, do you see exercise as gotta burn those calories? Or do you see exercise as, I am turning myself into my strongest, fittest, hottest, most radiant version of me? Those are two extremely different energies. Extremely different energies. Next, we have business/career. How could you dial up and raise your standards a little more in your business or in your career? How could you go the extra mile for a client, for a boss? Could you increase the amount of energy that you bring to a call? If you could do that, how would you do that? And then on the other side, how have you dropped your standards with business and career? Are you just checking boxes off? Are you allowing enough time for your deep work so that you can actually get into a state of flow? Like, if you think you're getting your deep work for the day done in an hour, you got something else coming, baby. While we can only have a certain amount of hours of deep work in a day, that hour, if you are like, right, this is my deep work hour, it's going to be pretty tough to get real deep work done, because the deep work really only starts at least 30 minutes in, because those first 30 minutes you're like still calibrating to the task and what you're doing, and you're still opening all the tabs that you need, and you're finding, or you're like, how am I going to approach this task? And when I say deep work, I mean the kind of work that it's like you are creating something new, you are bringing your energy to something, you are building something, and it's like that will last, and it's work that only you can do, and it moves the needle, and it's leveraged, and it's, you know. And you know what? As I'm going through these categories, I highly, highly recommend actually whipping out your notes app or taking pen to paper and actually writing down your answers for these. It could be something so simple, but these tweaks are exactly how 2026 will be better than 2025 was. Okay. Watch me snapping my fingers at my phone. All right. Next up, we have finance and wealth. Okay. How have you dropped your standards here, bitch? With all due love and respect, have you been spending your money on shit you don't need? Have you been investing in yourself? Have you been investing in stocks and ETFs and, you know, increasing your financial literacy and researching things like that? Have you been saving? Have you got a savings account, but you actually take money out of that to buy chocolate? You know, like, where have you dropped your standards there? And how could you raise your standards back up again with finance and wealth? Honestly, this is quite an exciting place to dial things up, because at least the way I see finances, I'm like, I want every single one of my euros to be going out. They're like my little minions that go and do work for me and they multiply. How do I do that? And how you do that is investing. And I kind of see two very different types of investing. There's investing in yourself and your education, your personal development. So whether that is like coaching, mentorship, masterminds, courses, books, education, like those kinds of things, or in actually investing into the stock market, into real estate, into, you know, these kinds of things. Real estate tends to be like, okay, maybe not ASAP, but I mean, you can invest in stocks like today. So I'm just going to say that. I started investing in 2020, and in the past year alone, my investment portfolio has increased by 28.7%. I just calculated it there. 28.7%. I'm like, hell fucking yeah, it is. My money is going out and doing the work for me. So this is where I'm like, the business side of things is where you make the initial money that comes in. The financial side of things is where that money actually goes even further than it does for most people. Most people don't do this. Most people are like, maybe I'll have a savings account. The only and I have multiple savings accounts. I like to categorize it. I have something for like some of them are like long-term savings, like emergency fund, which I actually don't call an emergency fund. I call it a safety blanket, because I think that's a lot more calming for the nervous system than emergency fund. I have car savings, so that's like for car maintenance. I mean, it's my first ever car, but it is 15 years old. So yeah, sometimes there's things that got to be done. And like petrol and stuff like that. But also it's the same account that I use to like save up for my next car, which will be nicer and sexier. Yeah, so that's fun. Other savings accounts I've got some like shorter term ones, like beauty and fashion, where it's like that's where I buy my makeup from, my clothes, pay for hair appointments and things like that. And gifting is a huge one. This was one of my favorite additions, because like, you know, when it comes up to Christmas and it's like, where am I going to get all this money from? I want to spoil everybody in my life. I've got so much love to give, but I didn't really account for this in the months coming. So, I mean, I know this training is being released in December, so hey, here we are. At least you'll know for next year. But have a gifting savings account, because that is like, you know, there are birthdays that happen throughout the year. There's a bunch of birthdays that I have around like May, June. So it's actually wild. I don't have that many people who like I buy birthday presents for. These are just like my real inner circle, right? So the following people all have their birthdays within 2 weeks of each other. We have my brother's girlfriend. Her birthday is on like the 14th of May. Then we have my boyfriend, whose birthday is on the 22nd of May. And then we have my mom and my brother, whose birthdays are both on the 1st of June. If I wasn't prepared for that, that could have thrown me off. You know, these are people who mean a lot to me, so I'm gonna be spending big money. Like, so I don't want to come up to that and be like, oh shit, I like did really well for this one person, and this one person is getting absolutely spoiled and the other people just got forgotten about. Or like, you know, fuck, I didn't budget for the rest of them. And then another account I have is like, I really want to buy an apartment in Spain at some point. So I have like a long-term savings account for that, which is accruing interest every single day. Yeah, so there's just like a bunch of savings accounts. So I'm not against saving. However, when you save your money, and that's why most of them are shorter term, most of my savings accounts, but when you save your money, then you're not fighting against inflation. So I'm going to do some research right now. So on average, in the past like 20 years, your money loses around 2 to 3% of its value each year because of inflation. So like the money is just not worth as much. So that's why, you know, if you've ever heard your grandparents talking about how much they bought their house for, it's like, oh, we bought this house for €200 back in the day. And it's like, that's lovely. Good for you. No wonder you're pushing us to all buy houses. But it's like, you know, now it just doesn't look like that because of inflation. So you want your money to be fighting against that. That doesn't happen in savings accounts, but it does happen when you invest. So that's what I'm looking at. Obviously, I am not a financial coach, but the most basic things and like basic ways to get your money to fight against this is like ETFs, which are basically it's like the S&P 500. It's like a bunch of big companies, and you buy a tiny piece of each of them because as a result of inflation, the value of those companies is also increasing over time. I might not be explaining that correctly, but what I do know is when your money is there, the value of your money increases. And you want to be doing that so your money is fighting against inflation, because if you save €500 now, then who knows how much that €500 is really going to be worth in like 20 years. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so back to this wheel of life. So that was finance and wealth, health and fitness. Oh my God, what you put in determines the quality of what you put in, determines the quality of what comes out. When I hear people like, oh, I'm just so tired, I just don't have the energy, I don't have the like zest, or I don't have the motivation, or I'm just not excited about things, a lot of the time, this does come back to health and fitness. And it is the most annoying advice because we hear it all the time. But maybe question to yourself, why do we hear it all the time? If you are, you know, eating takeaways 2 or 3 times a week, if you are not drinking enough water, if you're not active, if you're sitting on your juicy plump ass all day, and like love to that juicy plump ass, but if you're sitting on it all day, you're not gonna feel great. Like you're just gonna feel a bit meh, a bit like blah is the best way to explain it. The times where I've been like, right, I'm doing this nutrition thing, and I completely cleaned up my diet and like removed all processed foods and replaced them with like only clean foods like salads and like so much veg, and getting the volume from veg rather than getting the volume from like heavy carbs or like just processed crap, really. It is not comfortable for the first couple of days because it's like, my mouth is bored. But obviously, side note, there are ways to make it not boring. But anyway, when you do that for a couple of days, it is insane. The amount of energy that you end up having. And then you're like, have I just felt crap for the last like 5 years? Because I've been like eating cereal bars and like just processed things. And like when you actually make those tweaks, it's like, Jesus, I could be feeling so good all the time. So without prompting you to change everything right away, I will ask the question again. Where are you dropping your standards with your health and fitness? Write that the fuck down. And where can you raise those standards with your health and fitness? You know, this is going to look very different for everybody. You might know as you're listening to this that it's nutrition. You might know if you're listening to this that you eat way too much. It might be good food, but it's just too much. So you have that heavy, sluggish feeling, and maybe you just feel a little bit just heavier on your feet, or maybe you are putting on weight and it's not in a healthy way. Let's have a look at it. Maybe you'll know if you're listening to this that it's your sleep that needs dialing up. That you go to bed way too late and your eyes are glued to your phone right up until the second you go to sleep. And then you wonder why you wake up in the night and your brain is like da 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 da, like buzzing. Maybe there's a link there. Could talk about this all day. I really could. You know, this wheel of life part could have been an entire training on its own. So you are welcome. This is a masterclass within a masterclass. Okay, let's move on. Social life and friends. I will put my hands up and say, for the past couple of years, this has been one of the pretty consistently low areas for me, because a couple of years ago, my friend group that I've been friends with since I was like 5 kind of just ghosted me, and like basically I was just no longer in the friend group. It was really weird. The last time I actually saw them in person, I had this inner knowing that was going to be the last time I would ever see them in person. Nothing was said. There was no conflict. There was no argument, no fight, but I just knew. And after that, it was like a month or two later, they went on holidays on my birthday weekend without me. And I was like, okay, well, that confirms that. Like, guess we don't really talk anymore. And we don't. And we haven't. And that was 5 years ago. But in the past couple of years, like being in business, it's been one of those like extraneous things where I've been like, it just doesn't feel that important to me. However, I have made a couple of beautiful, wonderful friends in the past year or two. And it just made me realize, you know what? Connection is fucking everything. When you have someone or a group of people that you can go and chat to and laugh with, and you know those friends where it's like, you could have 2 hours, you could have 5 hours, you could have 8 hours. You will never run out of things to say. You will never run out of like deep conversations to have, or like laughs had, or anything like that. Oh God, it just fuels the soul. And you end up having conversations that end up inspiring your content, that end up inspiring your next new masterclass or your offer. Like, I've got one of my closest friends now, is one of those rare gems who lives in my local area but also has an online business, and she's fucking killing it. And anytime we have a conversation in person, I'm like, I need to go map out my next launch. I need to go do content for the rest of the day, because oh my God, like it's just like this tingly feeling like, oh my God, I've got so much to say. I've got so much, like, it's that, I guess for me, I love having things to respond to. And when you're stimulated like that, it just creates more out of you. Great example of this, and it's not exactly like social life or friends, but having that stimulation and what can come from that. The thought that comes to mind is Taylor Swift. She wrote The Life of a Showgirl while on the Eras tour. Obviously, first of all, how the fuck does this woman do it? But second of all, the reason she was able to do it was because she was so stimulated. Can you see the connection here of like how the stimulation that you've got in your day directly contributes to your inspiration, to your speed, demon, productivity, and energy, to like, oh, we're going X Games mode because, yeah, I might have a pretty packed schedule, but this is pouring out of me. I can't help but create this content, or I can't help but put together this next new launch, or I can't help but like have this collaboration idea and I'm so fucking excited for it and it has to happen right now. It's like pouring out of me. You know, I love the fact that I am explaining this I'm talking through this training, I'm getting out of breath because I'm getting that activated. So I'm hoping that you're feeling this too. And the next category that I want you to think about your standards with is a little similar to the last one, but it's family. Now, personally, I've had a big shift with this year. In the past, I feel like I was more so still in that kind of teenagery energy where it's like, yeah, I get like family is important, but like I'm gonna go do my thing, you know? It has been so different this year, and I actually finally get like, oh, no, family is just the best thing ever, because maybe a big part of that is the fact that my nephew was born this year and I became an auntie for the first time, and I've always wanted to be an auntie. But even before he was born, like we had a family barbecue at my house in the summer, and just like got the whole family over, and I used to see things like that as like an obligation, like you gotta go, you gotta do the thing. Now I'm like, oh, I can't wait for everyone to get here. Like, let's have some snacks. Let's have the chats. Like, what's been going on with you? What's been going on with you? And it's just like, again, it's that stimulation. Every single one of these aspects adds to your life so much when you raise your standards with it. So when it comes to family, how could you raise your standards a little bit? And where have you been dropping your standards a little bit? Have you been returning your mother's calls? Have you met up with your siblings in the past couple of weeks or months? Have you all just been like busy doing your own thing, but you don't have like real connection anymore? Or when you do spend time together, do you just sit around and watch TV, or do you like play games, or do you have like, you know, board games, or do fun things and actually have fun or have deep conversations? Fuck it. I don't know what your family likes to do. Maybe your family is the kind of family who likes to go on hikes together, but you just have allowed that to drop off in the past while. Maybe you could raise your standards for the entire family by organizing something like that. Maybe. All right, my little munchkin, my little sweetheart. It's time for the next category here, which is romance and love. Okay. This is regardless of whether you're in a relationship or you're married or you're separated or you're single and you've been single for 10 years, like it does not matter what your situation is. You still have a very valid level that you're at here. And like, this is, when I say that, I mean, if you have been single for 10 years, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're at like a 1. Like that's not it at all. What determines this is, and like if you're in a relationship, it's kind of clearer. It's like, okay, how well are you communicating? Are you being open and honest? Are you keeping secrets? Or are you really caring about the other person? Are you doing cool things for them? Like, are you giving them gifts? Are you listening to what you know to be their love language and really tuning your communication to that? You know, things like that. If you're single, or if you're single and you've been single for a long, long time, or you're recently single, what determines this is your level of self-love. So this is like, hey, any of the things that you would be doing in a relationship, or any of the things that you would want from a relationship, are you giving that to yourself? So, compliments. It's like the first one I can think of. Are you spoiling yourself with gifts? If you are someone who would love a partner to treat you, to like buy you flowers, are you buying yourself flowers? If you would love your partner to, like, if your love language is words of affirmation, and you would love the validation from another partner of like, You are the most incredible person in the world, and I am in absolute awe of you. If you wished you were hearing that from a partner, are you saying that to yourself? Like, are you giving that to yourself? So this is a whole other topic. Basically, romance and love, it's either within a relationship or it's outside of a relationship. And to be completely honest, even if you're in a happy, healthy relationship, I still think the self-love element absolutely matters here too. So this is kind of two in one. It's kind of two in one. And you know what? Also, there's so many caveats to this. Also, if you're single, maybe this is one where you're like, do you want to be dating? Do you want things like that? If you are dating and you're like, this is fucking crap, these boys are pathetic. Okay, how can we raise your standards? How can you raise your standards? Where have you been allowing those standards to dip? Oh, just ties together so beautifully in a little bow. Okay, next one. And honestly, this is one of the ones that my eyes have been open to the most this year. Recreation and fun. Who the fuck said that being an adult was supposed to be boring? I know, now we gotta do taxes and we gotta pay bills and we have to work and we have to, XYZ. We have to go bring our car to the mechanic. Who wants to do that? Not me, but hey, gotta do it. I know that you are fulfilling all of the shoulds. But are you fulfilling all of the desires as well? They are just as important. So this is something that I've really reconnected to in the past year of my desires around recreation and fun are very much, I'm a multi-passionate. I love having so many different things in my day, in my week. I've been writing my novel on a Saturday morning. I started songwriting. I started learning songs on piano again. Baking I started doing again. Oh my goodness, my boyfriend and I, we baked these like frozen yogurt things dipped in melted chocolate with Nutella in the middle. Oh, might have to make them again. Where are you letting your standards drop when it comes to recreation and fun? Are you of the frame of mind when you go through your day to day, are you like, that's not a now thing. That's either it's a childhood thing and we're past that stage, or you're in the space where it's a future thing. Like, I'm just busy right now. I'm doing all the things. Like, I don't have time for fun. I don't have time to go outside and skip down the road and do cartwheels. The reason I laughed there before that is I went for a walk this morning and it was really early and nobody else was around. It's Sunday morning, like definitely no one was around, and it was dark. And I started skipping because I was like, you know what? Skipping is so much more fun than walking. And no one's even around. Like, I can't skip around my house because I'll fly myself into a wall. Like, you get up quite a bit of momentum when you skip. So I started skipping down the road as a 29-year-old woman. And now I'm telling you about it in a training. Like, if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have even been able to make this point as well. So I'm fucking glad I did. One of the things I really want to do I'm moving to our new apartment soon, I want to buy myself a little trampoline. Because how fun is that? I'm not sure if I want a trampoline, a hula hoop, a pogo stick, or roller skates, or I might want all of the above. It's just like, I don't want to leave like those fun recreational things in my childhood. Like, I am not about to live the next however many years of my life leaving fun, recreation, and play behind me. Like, I'm not done with that. I'm not done with that. I don't care what your standard is. No. So, where are you raising your standards from now on with recreation and fun? Where have you been dropping them? When you're taking notes on these, by the way, I want you to be taking down the ideas. I want you to pick one idea and like schedule it in. Like, we're not just playing Lulu La La and like, oh yeah, that's a great idea, and then we forget about it and we move on. No, come on. Like, no. let's actually get it in the schedule. Like, let's get it in the calendar. Let's get it in your task management platform. I don't know. All right, next up we have contribution. So this is one that it is so interesting. Obviously, you've got to meet your own needs first. Maslow's hierarchy of needs says that we've got to meet those initial needs at the bottom of the pyramid first before we can, start having this kind of impact around us. Where can you raise your standards on how you contribute in this world? Now, when you hear the word contribution, you could immediately think donating to charity. That's probably the most natural one that comes to mind. But I want to open your mind here, okay? So, a client of mine at the moment is on a humanitarian trip in Cuba, where basically she's gone to Cuba for a week and they are bringing loads of stuff over that they can't access there, like things from pharmacies. They're helping them set up their lives properly over there, in a way that they can't just do even if money was donated. So she was telling me that her husband was saying, like, why can't we just give them money? And she was like, yeah, but they can't just walk into a pharmacy and get like painkillers the way we can, or whatever it was. So it's like she's donating her time, her effort, her energy to go and help them out. Obviously there's money too, but that is like serious contribution to this world. And it might also be in another way. Something that like really inspires me is this idea of like going in and getting your coffee and paying double so that you can cover the person behind you. Or like doing that in a drive-through. Or like that is a way to make somebody's day, and they don't even have to know who you are. And it's just like, here's the thing with contribution. We're about to get real fucking philosophical here, okay? I truly believe that there's no entirely altruistic action. And when I say altruistic, what that means is like showing a selfless concern for the well-being of others. So like caring about other people in a completely unselfish way. I don't believe true altruism is possible because it feels so good to give to other people. If you donate to charity, or you offer your services, or you pay for somebody else in a restaurant or a cafe or whatever it is, if you give to somebody else unselfishly, you get a little kick out of it. Now, that's not me saying that's a bad thing. If anything, I'm like, fucking, that's even better. Then it makes two people feel good. It helps more than it helps you and your mental health, and it helps somebody else. So I actually, like, I've heard arguments about like, yeah, but like you can't even be entirely unselfish like because of that, right? But I'm like, yeah, what's wrong with that? Like, why not just spread more joy? If I do something that brings somebody else joy, and the fact that it brings them joy brings me joy, is that not like twice as good? Is that not like a little cherry on top? Because now everybody's feeling more joyful. We're just bringing more joy into the world. So it's philosophical, but it's a big topic, a big conversation, and I would love for you to start thinking about and acting on how could I raise my standards when it comes to contribution? Where am I letting my standards dip when it comes to contribution? Yeah, that's a biggie. All right. Now we have personal growth. Oh my God, this is one of my favorite things ever. I was already kind of alluding to this when I was talking about investing in yourself, but like spend the time reading the books, study the courses, listen to the mentors that light you up, listen to the people that activate you, do your mindset work. Like all of these things, they all add up to a bigger and better you. And the moment to think about improving this is right now. Where have you actually allowed your standards to drop when it comes to your own personal growth? The chances are you're listening to this audio because you are someone who values personal growth. But where have you let the standards drop? Did you used to give yourself an hour to really go deep on your subconscious breakthroughs, or EFT tapping, or journaling, or, maybe you do morning page, or you used to do morning pages where you wrote stream of consciousness kind of journaling for like 3 entire A4 pages, and it's extremely time consuming, so you stopped doing that, or you said, you know what, that's something I used to do in the morning, but now I'm just like not able to get up as early and I'm struggling with that, and like you're just not valuing it as much. Now is the time to look at it. Where are you letting those standards drop? Where could you raise those standards? Even like, what's the kind of mindset you want to have? Are you someone who wants to have this mindset of like, the world is so abundant, there is more than enough money, followers, appreciation, like all of this for me and you and you and you and you and you and all of us, there's more than enough for every single one of us here? And if you want that kind of mindset, are you doing the work to create and sustain that mindset? Create is one thing, sustain is a whole other thing. Like, are you doing things for your mindset every single day? One of my favorite things to do for mindset is actually just tuning in and plugging into my mentors. Like, people who, when I listen to them, I am so fucking lit up that I'm like, I can't help but move and like take big action. Essentially, I can't help it. So it might be on the mindset side of things, but like I said, it also might be on the study side of things, like reading the books and taking the courses. Now, I know a huge theme that's been coming up in the past couple of years in the personal development side of things is buying a course or paying for a masterclass and letting it sit there and not watching it, or not getting you, I'm in the middle of something else right now, so I'm going to get to that at a later date. That is certainly not helping you. It's actually hurting you because it's draining your finances without actually giving you any return on investment. I know you've bought things that you haven't listened to or watched. And let's go one further. How can we raise our standards even more? I know there are courses that you've watched, maybe taken notes on, and so on, and still haven't actually put into action the concepts. So you might understand the concept, but are you actually tweaking your strategy of business, of launching, of marketing, of what systems, whatever it is? Are you actually tweaking the strategy based on what you've learned, or did you just learn a nice thing and then off you go? Because the latter genuinely isn't helping either. Okay, finally, spiritual. This is our last category, and I'll be honest, I don't entirely know tangibly how to say this, but I'm still going to ask the question, and that question is, how can you raise your standards when it comes to your spirituality? Now, spirituality obviously means something different to everybody. Is it religion? Is it the universe? Is it something else? Is it higher self? Like, you know what it is for you. And also, you know where you've been dropping your standards. Or at least if you haven't been thinking about it, let's bring your awareness to it right now. Where have you been dropping your standards on the spirituality side of things? In the past week, I invested in basically a mindset and spirituality kind of membership. And one of the first things that was like such a light bulb moment was, are you like, and this was actually just thrown out as an idea, but it just stuck in my mind. It was like, some people pray every day. And obviously I'm Irish. I grew up in Catholic Ireland, but I'm not religious. I don't associate with, anyway, that's a whole other conversation. Let's not even go there right now. But praying to me means like connecting with the universe and connecting with my higher self. Do I pray to my higher self or the universe every day? Have I been? No. I could definitely raise my standards here. And it's just a concept that I never even thought of, because some people believe that you give 50% and the universe gives the other 50%. But like, have you been leaning on that support, the spiritual support network that you've got? Whatever that looks like for you. All right, we're going to leave it at that. But listen, thank you so much for listening to this episode. We're going to be back in the new year, and I cannot wait to start off 2026 with a fresh new energy. I've been planning out some unbelievable stuff. Some things I've hinted at, other things I haven't even told a soul about, haven't even told my boyfriend about. So keep an eye on my Instagram at More to Life Kate. And if you enjoyed this episode, then please share the episode on your stories. Honestly, it makes my entire fucking week to see these episodes being shared on Instagram. I feel like, oh, look at me with my little corner on the internet. And it's really weird when I'm talking into a microphone in a room on my own. And then I'm like, oh, wait, there is actually somebody on the receiving end of this. Like somebody's actually listening to these words. And, you know, if I think about it too much, it just kind of blows my mind, but in the best way possible. So thank you so much for being a listener this year. We started the podcast this year, and, you know, did I know if it was going to be a long-term thing? No. Do I still feel like we're in the baby stages? Yes. And I still have so much I want to share with you. So here's to another year, and have the most beautiful, wonderful holiday season. Oh my goodness, soak up every single minute. And oh my goodness, I will say this one thing. Last week, I released a training. It is a crazy price for what you're getting. And it's all about how to take 3 weeks off over Christmas. So if you want to grab that one, and let's be honest, these strategies can be used for Christmas, but they can also be used for whenever the hell you want to take 3 weeks off in your business. So I'm going to link that down below for you, and enjoy. Like I said, crazy price. Enjoy. All right. Okay. I will chat to you in the new year. Bye. All right, gorgeous. That's a wrap on today's episode of the Get Unbusy podcast. If you got some juicy golden nuggets from this episode, I want to hear about it. So take a screenshot, share it on your Instagram stories, and tag me at More to Life Kate, because your girl wants to know. And remember, you're an absolute powerhouse. You can create the life you